Welcome, 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 everybody. This is our third Zoom session, but second coaching session. I'm going to run through housekeeping real quick before we get into it. We're going to do the drawing giveaway tonight, not right now, but tonight. Sharon, where's Sharon? Where are you at, Sharon? There you are. I'm going to let you quickly go over. We have spirit art in intuitive art with Sharon next Saturday. So for those of you that want to join, she did a post about supplies and such, but I'm going to put her on the spot and let her talk real quick and kind of give the lowdown on what that's about and what to bring. So Sharon, I'm going to let you do that. I'm sorry I didn't give you a heads up. I had it on my list and then I ran around like a crazy person before I logged on. So are you okay with doing that?
Sure.
Okay, awesome. Go for it.
Okay, so I'm Sharon Kavanaugh, and I've been working on a painting practice for the last kind of year and a half. And it's all about using the canvas as a way to work through your problems and kind of design the life that you want. So it's a form of meditation. It's a form of just learning about yourself. So it has very, very little to do with the actual painting process itself. That doesn't really matter. It's really about what you can learn from the canvas and how you can design the life that you want to live. So it's really cool. It's like having a conversation with what you're painting. But painting, it's not necessary at all to have any kind of painting skill whatsoever. If you do, that's great, but it's not a requirement. And it starts by taking a canvas and writing affirmations on the canvas or your intentions on the canvas. So you write what you want to bring into your world, which is what we've been doing with Nikki right from the beginning of this. Like all the positive statements, you can put those on the canvas. You're embedding that energy into the canvas. And then, so actually, if anybody wants to start that ahead of time, they can do that. You can also do it. Usually we do that with paint. We just paint the words in there, but you can also do it with a pencil and you can write a letter to your loved one. And that, if you wanted to do ahead of time, it just gives you more time. You're going to paint over it and nobody sees it except you, but it's kind of putting that in there too. So it could even be, if you're writing a love letter, it could also be, it could even be your frustrations. It could be purging whatever you need to purge. That can be on the canvas in there too. So it kind of goes either direction and it really doesn't matter. It's just is whatever you're kind of needing is what you start with on the canvas. And then the second layer is called a freedom layer, and it's literally color. So you're just painting any kind of designs, patterns, marks. You can finger paint. It really doesn't make any difference. You're just covering the canvas. So that sort of seals all those intentions in, and it gives you your first layer to work on. And then we'll work on an image on top of that. But it's really cool. It's really insightful. It's really cool. And it's been a major part of my healing. Because I mean, my daughter, Sarah, left her body at 24 years old, and I did everything. Like I've been to tons of meetings. I've been to mediums. I've been to a magical intuitive workshop in Italy. I mean, I've done all kinds of stuff. And it got to the point where I felt like I had to figure out a way to listen to me a little bit more. So the painting is my way of doing that. So it's kind of cool. So awesome. And you don't have to do anything fancy. The post I put gave you options. You can literally go to the dollar store and get a canvas for $1.25, or dollar stores are $1.25 now. And you can use any kind of paint you have. And the cheap paints that Michael sells, like Walmart, 54 cents for the little craft tubes, they're okay. If you've got other stuff that's a little better quality, it's a little easier to work with, but we really can do it with the cheap stuff. So whatever you have, use it. It does matter that it's painting, though, that it's acrylic and not like watercolor or something, because you're making layers. Really hard to do that with watercolor. So any kind of acrylic, anything at all. You can pick your favorite colors, or you can go with primary colors and mixed colors. And you also, like around my studio, there's some of them are behind me there. You paint over them, which is part of the thing. It's part of learning the lesson of impermanence also. So you can paint over your work. So if you do something and you're not madly in love with it, doesn't make any difference. Quick. I'll let things sit in my studio and then I'll look at them and I'll be like, oh, it's your turn. And I just paint right over it. So it's fun. I hope you like it. I hope you try it.
I love that goddess painting over your left shoulder, Sharon.
Who's over here? This one?
No, the purple goddess.
This one.
Yes, I love that.
Thank you. I've done, I mean, some of them, like I'll paint them and I'll be like, holy cow, didn't see that one coming. Which is super interesting. I did one of my daughter-in-law who, yeah, some days not the greatest daughter-in-law. And I ended up putting like barbed wire in her neck. And I'm like, oh, like that was interesting.
There's some purging going on in
A
that
little
one.
bit. That surprised me. I painted over, didn't want her to see that. I painted over it. But like that kind of stuff comes out that you just don't really see coming.
Helping to, or Brenda too. Awesome. So we're going to be doing that next. Let's go over this week's schedule. So on Tuesday at 6:30, we have Thanksgiving dinner guided meditation visitation with the kids. Kat is not going to be doing that. She is having some health issues. Rachel's going to come in and actually do that with us. Kat generally does it every year, and I'm hoping that she'll be okay enough to do the ones in December and our New Year's. And Kat and Spirit specifically designed the Thanksgiving dinner guided meditation that we do each year. I mean, it changes a little bit each year, but Rachel's going to come in and do it. And Rachel said she hopes that Spirit will lead her in that direction. So we don't really know what's going to happen. She's going to try to get everybody to sit down at the dinner table like we normally do, and wrangle them up, but we'll see. But like I said, we will still have that on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. It's just going to be Rachel sitting in place of Kat because Kat's having some medical issues. Saturday, as Sharon just stated, we have Intuitive Art with Sharon, and that's going to be at noon. I believe it's at noon, right, Sharon?
12:30.
12:30. I probably mistyped it then. So 12:30. Oh, no, I miswrote it. It is actually a 3 that I wrote down, and it happens to look like a 0 because I wrote it really fast. So 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's going to be the art. And then Sunday, of course, we have coaching at 4 with Kathy and I again. So Kate got bumped off. What is going on with Zoom right now? Darn it. And it would start the video, then knock me out. It's not letting me in. I don't want to hold you guys up, so I'll watch out for you. Hold on just a minute, guys. I don't know what is happening with Zoom. Okay. Let's see. So Rachel's going to stand in. We're going to do the drawing, Sharon's art list. Don't forget to do your Zoom takeaways tonight. First thing I want to do is a quick rehash. I want to see where you guys are at, how you're doing with things. A lot of you are engaging in the assignments, the discussion threads, and the posts. That's excellent. I cannot repeat this enough. The more you engage, guys, the more you put into this program, the more you will take away. You know, and that it doesn't matter if it's this program or your healing in general, or like Sharon went to Italy. If Sharon had flown to Italy for her mystical, magical experience, if she hadn't put a lot in, she wouldn't have gotten a lot out. So it's always, always, always going to be in direct momentum to the action you put behind your healing intention. So if you're not engaging, I would gently advise you to, if you're actually wanting healing to occur. Time doesn't help it. It's what you do with the time that helps it. Okay. Those of you that, everybody that is engaging quite a bit, are you feeling a little bit lighter this week? You can just raise your hand if you had some good shifts, if you're feeling a little bit lighter than you thought you would be. Okay. I'll take 2 as a win. I'll take 3 as a win. You know, and like I said, it is going to be in direct proportion. If you're surrounding protecting every day, if you're engaging, if you're doing the gratitudes and affirmations every day, these are the things that will raise your vibration. And part of healing is about raising your vibration. You know, grief will always be the default. So if you're feeling a little under the weather and you're only to a certain point in your healing, it may be that you spiral back into grief because grief will be the default. You can level up from that. I have been under the weather off and on for several months. And I put it where it is. It has nothing to do with leaf leaving body. It has nothing to do with grief. So it's always a good reminder that if you're feeling low vibration, don't just immediately contribute it to grief. There may have been something that that predated that, and that it then came into, oh, and there's this to deal with too. So it's good to learn to separate the grief stew, because it doesn't always have to do with your grief. It doesn't always have to do with the fact that your people left their bodies. Okay. So that being said, what I want to do first is, how many of you have your telepathic connection with your people in spirit? You can raise your actual physical hands. Who hears them? Who thinks they might hear them but isn't quite sure? Who's still having trouble discerning what's you and what's them? That's normal. Okay. Whose ego just every time they do hear him says, that's not them, you're crazy? Okay, that's normal too. Okay. So something I want to touch upon today is the fact that that first thought, before your ego ever has a chance to get in, that's them. Okay. When you're in normal conversation with them, it's very, very, very hard to discern, right? One of my biggest things, what I started noticing, because I started feeling like I was absolutely going insane, was before I could get the thought all the way through the thought process, Leaf would interrupt. And so I messaged my spiritual mentor at that point. I said, okay, I'm losing my fucking mind, because I know as a human being, I cannot have two full distinct thoughts at once. And I know what ADD feels like, and this feels different than that. Like I can't even get the thought all the way thought in my head, and then this one's coming in. And she was like, Nikki, that's because that's not your thought, that's Leaf's thought. So how many of you have experienced like the interruption of thought? Like I can start to think, I love you, Leaf, and I'll get to I love, and then the thought comes in, I love you too, Mom. Okay, that's a good way to start discerning them. They still interrupt. They still interrupt us. As above, so below, some things never change, right? So that's a good way to discern. And that happens very quickly. And then your ego, as an afterthought, can pop in and say, oh, Becky, that's just you making that up, right? So ego always lags behind the first initial spiritual conversation that goes on. So one thing that I want to do today is, and some of you are really good at this because you've been working at it for a very long time on your discernment, is I want us to take a moment and to connect with our kiddos, and we're going to ask them a specific question, and literally it is the first thought that comes into your mind is the answer, because spirit always hits first and ego lags a little bit behind. Does everybody have pencil and paper with them? Because I'm going to have you write down the answer to this as it comes, like bam, as soon as it comes in. I'll give everybody time to get their pencil and papers. Those of you that have two in spirit, you may get two answers at the same time, or you may want to say, I'm asking you this question, and then I'm going to ask you this question. So that's going to be up to you, however you want to handle it, Kate. Because knowing your voice, they're just going to scream at you at the same time. Is everybody ready? If
I don't
you're,
have a question. I can't think of a question.
I'm going to give you the question.
Oh, good.
Antonetta.
Because
Yeah,
I can't think of a
it's going to be a specific question tonight. So
Good. Good.
okay.
Thanks for doing it.
No problem. No problem. It's good that you don't have a question though. We're gonna hold up for Kim. She's getting out of the car and situated into her house.
Almost.
We got you. No worries.
Okay.
Grab a pen and paper, and when you get settled, we'll get to it. And I'm not trying to rush you because we're good. So for those of you that are still right here, go ahead and tell your kiddos that you're going to get ready. They already know what question we're asking because they can read our thoughts. They can read my thoughts. Yes, you have very little privacy, moms, just so you know. So they already know what we're gonna ask, but let them know to be concise and quick and that you're gonna write it down, okay? Leaf's been screaming at me for days. He actually showed me what I am supposed to get, which of course is I'm gonna have to put extra effort for. Everybody ready? Kim, let me know when you're ready, sister. Take a couple of deep breaths to get situated. Pens in hand. All right. I want you to close your eyes and ask your child what they want for Thanksgiving dinner. It might be one thing. If they're bougie, they may list a whole slew of things. First thing that comes into your brain, what do you want me to provide for Thanksgiving dinner, especially for you? When you have that one, close your eyes, ask them if they want you to plate them food. And like I said, this should be quick, guys. They're already on the draw. So it's bam, that's your answer. Bam, that's your answer. If you feel like you're not getting it or you're not quick enough on the draw, ask again. It's the very first thought that pops into your brain. Who's getting results? Good deal, good deal. Everybody? Okay, so this is how telepathy works. This is a very foundational, basic thing that you can practice with if you don't know how to discern. You will eventually learn how to discern. You can ask regular questions like this, okay? It's perfectly okay to do that. It's especially great to do it, excuse me, to take the time during holidays to do it. This is one of the ways we're going to take them shopping with us. This is one of the ways when we're decorating that we're going to bring them in. What, you know, what ornament do you want me to hang next? Well, they put you there, whatever it is. So let's go through and see what they said. You know, and it may be, if you're not doing Thanksgiving dinner, it may be, I know Lee, you guys aren't doing Thanksgiving right there in Australia, are you? You guys don't have Thanksgiving the same time we do you?
We don't have it here, but funnily enough, Scarlett's got two American friends, and so she's always done it with them the past few years. So
Okay,
it's been a
cool.
thing. She's like, why don't we do it? So yeah, we started doing it because the two friends did.
Well, good, because it's like an American Indian and Pilgrim thing. So I know Canada has theirs. They've already passed theirs. But guys, you can do this at family gatherings. If it's not a holiday, you can do this at birthday parties. You know, do you want a piece of cake, Leaf? Of course, Leaf is always like, yes, I want the cake. And then even if I'm on keto, I have to eat a piece of the cake or a bite of the cake for him. So let's go around and see what they said. I'm just going to let you guys volunteer. I'll start with what Leaf said. Leaf he put something in front of me the other day. Kate and her family are going to be down here for Thanksgiving. So we're all doing Thanksgiving together. And so I've been on the hunt for where we're going to go eat for Thanksgiving, because we're not really into that whole cooking business. We don't want to do that. But he put cinnamon whiskey pumpkin pie in front of me the other day. And I didn't even realize it was him. Then all week long, he's brought me back to it. I never even knew this was a thing. But Leaf left his body by drinking too much cinnamon whiskey. He drank too much Fireball. And so it didn't even occur to me. Now, when I see something that's Fireball related, I always know it's him. But it didn't occur to me because this pumpkin pie was called cinnamon whiskey pumpkin pie. So this week I've been like, oh, I don't know what to do for Thanksgiving, if I should get a pie. And it's always in my brain, it's cinnamon whiskey pumpkin pie. And I'm like, finally, yesterday I was like, oh, you want me to get the cinnamon whiskey pumpkin pie? And I heard duh. So that's one of the things that this keeps kicking people off tonight. So if you guys get kicked off, just come right back in. I don't know why it's doing. Oh, did you do it, Bernie? I can't hear you, sister.
I'm trying to hang up on my phone and connect on my computer.
You're on your phone now.
All right, can I hang up and now I'm gonna connect on the computer?
If you hang up now, you hit leave meeting and then you
Right.
go to your computer and join me.
Okay, I'll be right there.
Now, Bernie, that's what Brenda tried to do, and it said that the host removed her. So I don't know if there's a glitch happening and she cannot get back in, just so you know. I don't know why it did that. So just be careful. Or you might join on your computer now and keep on your phone. You can't hear me? Can you hear me? Bernie, can you hear me? She cannot hear me. Okay, hold on, guys.
I show Bernie's gone. She's not in the participant list right now.
Well, her video's still on.
There she is. I
I
show her
still
back Bernie.
Okay, kids, if you are messing with Zoom tonight, y'all need to stop. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Do you have your audio on?
I'm sorry, I'm taking
I
up
can
time.
now I can hear you.
All right,
I
I'll
don't-
find my audio. Go ahead, keep going. I'll find my
Okay.
audio.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yesterday he said, duh. Yeah, he wants the cinnamon pumpkin pie. He wants us all to eat the cinnamon pumpkin pie. So I asked him just now if he wanted me to plate him a plate, because I did that a lot in the beginning years and then I fell off because I'm lazy and I was like, yeah, you get whatever you want there. I don't have to go through that healing ritual to offer you this anymore. And this year he does want me to plate him a plate. All he's getting is a cinnamon pumpkin pie, because I'm not playing you a plate at a restaurant. I refuse to pay for you a plate when you're not in body and you can eat as much as you want. So that's what Leaf just said to me. Like I said, it comes in bam, bam, bam. It may be things that keep occurring, that it's not coincidental that you have to look at. So who got distinct answers just now when they asked? Who wants to share?
Hey, Nikki, it's Sarah.
Hey, Sarah, and you guys, I'm not going to call on you. Just jump in. Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
Well, she's been telling me like for the last couple weeks, so I guess she knew this was coming. It's the same thing as last year. She wants I don't even remember what it's called. It's like the Snickers apple salad. You know what that is?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she's been sending me a recipe on Facebook very, very regularly. So I made it last year. It didn't turn out very good. Nobody ate it. So she's like, just use the recipe I sent you. So
And does she want you to plate her some of it?
no.
Good, good. Not everybody is as high maintenance as Leaf.
Yeah.
So thank goodness. Who else?
I can go.
Go for it,
Um,
Antonetta.
Yeah, Daniel loves my stuffing. So he went stuffing. Then the gobbler sandwich for second
Wawa?
dinners. No, we make our own gobbler
Oh my
sandwich.
gosh,
But yes,
so
we do
good.
like Wawa's gobbler sandwich.
Yes.
And then of course pumpkin pie.
Awesome. Does he want you to
yes.
actually plate it? He does?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you guys plate their food, just know that what happens is you're giving them an offering through the physical, and they can receive that energetically. A lot of people that plate food afterwards, they will either take bites of it themselves, or you can set it outside for the wildlife, depending on what it is. That's a way to give it back to the physical realm, or you can throw it in the trash. The years that I've had to throw it in the trash, I apologize to Spirit. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be wasteful, but I don't want the raccoons up at my door.
Yeah, I just wrapped it in foil, the dish, and ate it the next day.
Awesome. You can do that too.
Yeah. Sorry,
Good
my
stuff.
kitty, he wants my pen. Look at him.
That's
He's a
all
stinker.
right. That's too funny. Who else?
Patrick wanted broccoli casserole.
Broccoli
son-
casserole?
Yeah, and that's what I always have to bring to all the dinners. It's my thing that I bring. So, but he doesn't like water chestnuts, and I always put water chestnuts in it. So he said broccoli casserole without water chestnuts.
That's hilarious. I'll take your water chestnuts. I love them.
I love them too.
And does he want you to plate food for him?
No.
No? Okay. I'm beginning to think Leaf is, well, Antonetta's boy too. Apparently they're the picky ones. Who else?
I'll go.
Go for it, Christine.
So Alex answered before I even had a chance to like ask
There
the
you go.
question. But Alex is a foodie. He was like a chef in the making. He
Dear
liked
to my
to
heart.
cook. So makes perfect sense. So macaroni and cheese and Brussels sprouts, which kind of surprised me. It's something that my mom makes on occasion. And he absolutely wants to his food to be plated, which does not surprise
Awesome.
me at all. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Leaf's a foodie too.
Yeah.
I am a foodie. I'm a foodie that's now on keto again, which is so hard. But yeah, I like all the food all the time in any way, shape, or form. So I
Yeah.
will be
Daniel's
that
a
person.
foodie too. Daniel's a foodie too. I'd say Daniel's a foodie.
So the
Yeah.
foodie kids want their food plated in the earth realm, apparently. So, all right, awesome. Did you find that easier to discern then, Christine?
Yeah, I actually I just have to tell a really quick story.
Go for it.
Last night we were out to dinner with friends and Alex like spoke to me. Like I heard his voice. It
Perfect.
it was the first time that I've actually like, you know, I've been kind of going through that phase of like, is this just like me making things up or is this Alex? But it was his voice and it was truly beautiful and amazing. He was telling me that he was there with us at dinner with friends and he was having fun too. And he was like, Mom, I see you're having fun and I want you to have fun. I'm here with you. So I just had to share that because I was like really excited about it. So,
Yes, that's awesome.
yeah.
And you know what happens, Christine? Because that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen all the time, but
Yeah.
it's great when it does. And some of that, maybe why that happened at this point is because you have been engaging a lot and you're working really hard to raise your vibration. So that shows like as your vibration has raised, he can more clearly get to you in that moment. You're out having fun. You're in
Yeah.
a super high vibe. You're not in your grief. There's not residual stuff. You were very, very present because that's where they can get to us, guys, is in each present moment. A lot of times when we're not expecting it because we're just doing our thing and we're vibing really high and it closely more matches theirs. And so, bam, you're interfacing at that point.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
that is awesome. I love it. And I love that he did it right before we talked about discerning them telepathically today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Awesome.
pretty cool. It just kind of like I stopped for a moment. Like it was his voice. And the thing about it too is I like even when I'm having fun right now, there's like this underlining sadness. And then
Mhm.
after the fun's gone, I always have like the tears and I'm sad. And I didn't have that because he told
Perfect.
me he wanted me to be happy and to have fun. So yeah, it was great.
Because they can experience that energy through us, you guys. You know, this guilt that comes when you're out having fun, you're like, oh my God, I shouldn't be enjoying my life because my kid is dead. Who's that coming from? Your spirit or your ego?
Ego, definitely. Yeah.
So they want us out having fun. They want us re-entering life and cultivating joy and new adventure and new experience because they can feel that through us. And I am 100% convinced when mediums tell you that your child misses you, they miss you vibrating high as your spirit. They don't miss you physically, you guys, because they already are in the end all be all and they know that physical is a blip on the radar, right? But what they're saying is, I miss your inner spirit vibrating high, the joy, all of the ecstatic emotions, right? So I love that that happened for you. It's a prime teaching example too. So thank you, sir. Because that lets you guys know that's one of those things that you can use to help release your guilt when you are enjoying your life, because this is how your children experience it through you. This is part of the purpose of what they want for us. Okay. Okay, who else? Go ahead, Lee.
I got instantly lasagna because Skylar only ate like 5 things, and lasagna, and then that peanut butter ice cream, and it's not on sale, haha. So there's this thing, it's a peanut butter ice cream, and she was super fussy, and it's like $12 for the tiniest tub. So it was an ongoing joke that I'm not getting that for you every week if it's not on sale, because $12 for a little tub.
I'm still as high maintenance as ever, Mom.
Yeah. So she goes, it's not on sale, haha. And then I thought, is it on sale? So I've been looking through 15 pages of ice cream at the supermarket, and then I found it. So when I got to it, and then there's a little American flag, and I thought, oh, that's because I said USA are friends. But I scrolled down to see if it was what you would have, because there's a non-dairy one, and it's got made in the USA in big capital letters. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And does she want you plating this for her?
Yes, extra cheese. Yeah.
With
Extra cheese on the lasagna. Yeah, which was a thing. Yeah. I just had to have an extra layer.
Awesome.
So that was cool.
Good deal. Who else?
I can go.
Go for it. Did they yell at you at the same time?
No, but Cavs knows that we're going to a restaurant because he said he wants Mountain Dew. Immediately, Mountain Dew, and I'm like, yeah, this kid never really liked his food. He didn't like Thanksgiving. I told you that, like, we don't like Thanksgiving food. Nobody in our family does. And I was like, do you want a plate? And he's like, gross. And then,
did you tell him we're going to a place that's going to have both kinds of food?
Yeah, so he said gross, and then you said duh, right? Like Leaf said duh. I got duh in between the kids. Like, I'm talking to Cavs, and then I got a duh. Like, I wrote duh down. And then Anthony wants ham, but he doesn't even like ham, so I think he's playing with me. And then I asked him if
you guys have to remember, they can like different stuff in spirit.
Yeah.
Like their palates have also broader perspective now, right? So maybe he's like, yeah, try some ham now.
Well, it'll be interesting to see wherever we go what the fuck's with the ham there. You know, it's gonna be something weird. It's like gonna be a whole pig or something. Anyway,
delicious ham, because I like Thanksgiving food.
I know you do. Yeah, and no, he doesn't want a plate.
Okay.
So
not even of the pumpkin pie?
Well, I feel like we're gonna have to revisit that because you know, there was like a duh and the gross and the no all came out at the same time. So I don't know if they're all three like just duh, no, and gross.
Possibly. So did you ask the boys separately? How did you do this? Kay has 2 boys in spirit. So you asked them separately?
Yes, I asked the first question separately. And I wrote Kavi's name down first. So I like talked to him first. And then I wrote Anthony's name down and I asked Anthony separately the same, both questions. Like I didn't just talk to Kavi and then talk to Anthony. I asked them both questions separately.
Well, this is good news because at least we don't have to be at a restaurant plating up like 3 dead people plates.
Right.
Like that's a lot of wasted food. So, okay.
I want to see you guys do that. Tell the waitress we've got 3 dead children here with us today.
Well, I have taken Leaf's urn.
I need a Mountain Dew.
I have taken Leaf's urn into the Mexican restaurant on his birthday before, had them bring the sombrero over, put it on him, and we sang him happy birthday and I ordered him food. I make no bones about standing my truth wherever the hell I'm at. So, and we got some licks at the table that year, but I'm okay with that. And that year, because Omri's birthday, actually it was his re-birthday dinner because Omri's birthday is the night before and they used to have double parties because their actual Earth birthdays are only 11 days apart. So we did it for her too. So they put the sombreros on both of them, on his urn and on Omri, and she put her arm around the urn as she would as if he was here in physical, and we took birthday pictures. So
you got to share those.
I'll have to find, they're probably so far back in my phone, Sarah, that I will have to search endlessly, but I will do it for you. So no
Awesome.
promises though, no promises, because you know how techie I am. So
I'll
awesome.
go.
Okay, go Bernie.
Patrick wants turkey legs and apple pie. He always
He
wants
wants
apple pie.
He wants a full leg. He is
He wants
not
a
jacking
full leg.
around.
And he doesn't want it plated.
That's okay, mama. And here's the thing. If it's gonna be better for you to plate it, you can just be like, too damn bad, son. I'm plating it and you're gonna
Yeah.
receive it. So if you feel like you need to plate it so you can move through a healing ritual with it and bring in their physical, something to I just lost my word. Something to, what is the word? Signify their physical
Mhm.
presence. You can just be like, yeah, well, I'm glad you want that. Thank you, but I'm plating it. So, because I heard a little disappointed in your voice, Bernie. You were like, he doesn't want it plated.
Oh,
So-
you know what? It doesn't matter to me. It really
Okay.
doesn't. I don't care either way.
Okay.
But can I tell you quick what happened to me yesterday and today? Well,
Of
this
course.
morning I was in the shower, and you know when the shower gets all steamy, and I turned around and there was a heart. And,
Awesome.
and the water was just dripping, so it looked like a balloon because the line was going down. I was like, oh, thanks, Pat. Yesterday.
You're better than me, Bernie. I'm always like, get the hell out of the bathroom while I'm showering naked, son.
I wanted to take a picture, but my phone was not in the bathroom. And by the time I finished my shower, it was gone.
Yeah.
But yesterday I went to a couple of Christmas craft fairs with my friends, and we've been out to lunch. And last year I bought a tree. It's maybe 2 feet. It's in a white ceramic pot. And I put a lot of Patrick things on it, you know? So I decided this year I was going to do all angels. So I've been making angels out of oyster shells. And so I bought 2 angels yesterday. I got home, I emptied out my bag. There were no angels. And I felt myself go from like a 9 to a 2, you know, like I don't know if it was stupid. Anyway.
Nothing stupid. You feel how
About a
you
half
feel
hour
when you
later-
feel it. Don't
about a
judge
half
it.
hour later, I had a total meltdown. I haven't cried like that in so long. And Tony kept saying, Bern, I'll take you back up there. And I was like, no, it's like 20 minutes. It wasn't a big deal, but I just didn't want to. But I had a good cry. I let him take me up there. And I got my angels. And last night, well, when we got back, it was like 5:15. I watched the video from the first night because I didn't watch it yet, which brought me right back up. So it ended up being a good day. But I don't cry like that too much often, you know?
Well, and Bernie, what I would suggest you do is unpack why there was a crying trigger. Was it because we have to get into the nuances of it, right?
Mhm.
So it's great that you had a purge, but so let's unpack it. Is it because there is a little bit of guilt that you are putting the tree in a different direction this year? Is it because I'll tell you guys, when you start moving away, like from the initial healing rituals that you've had, especially in year 1 and year 2, there can be some abruptness to that. Like my first year, I did this huge tree, all leaf, totally obscene, like totally over the damn top, you guys, ridiculous. My poor daughter probably felt like I didn't even see her at all because it was like the tree of leaf, right? Not the tree of life, the tree of leaf. So, and the next year I did a smaller one. And the next year I didn't do one at all because we were in transit between homes. And we were in an Airbnb and just lots of things. And so I had grief that I had to purge because I wasn't able or had decided not to do a leaf tree. So unpack why it happened, Bernie. It doesn't mean that you need to do a Patrick tree. It just means that sometimes when we are moving forward, even with our kids, some of those grief rituals that we had to bring their physical in, we kind of can mourn those too. And that's okay to do. Okay. That's okay to do.
Actually, the funny thing is, last year I didn't want to do Christmas at all. I don't think I put up a tree. I have this white bulk thing, you know. I did that. And this little tree I put on my counter. So normally my tradition with Patrick is to hang his stocking. And I told you last year about all the letters that I asked people if they would write a memory or something about him and mail it to me the first year after he passed. So
Mhm.
every year we take them out and read them. And sometimes I cry and sometimes I don't. Sometimes they make me feel happy, but I didn't do that last year. So this year I'm like, I can't wait to decorate. Like I haven't felt this in a long time, you know?
Good.
So I don't know what it is. I don't know
I don't
if it's getting close to the holidays and something's creeping in. Well, I don't know, but
Well, and we talked about last year, and Bernie, I know we've talked about it before, something to, and we're talking circles here a little bit, guys. So something you guys, I want you to be aware of, and I want you to be able to separate it, is if you're having grief for the current situation, or if you're having grief through nostalgia, right? Because even before the kids left their bodies, you can have grief in the holidays for plain old simple nostalgia. That, you know, even like, I know my first Christmas after I left the kids' dad, you know, we were steeped in years of holiday tradition. My kids and my ex-husband, we always went to the Christmas tree farm out in the snow, and we walked the farm and we cut down our own tree and we put it up. Like we did that for, you know, 14 years. And so even before Leaf left body, and even though, you know, his dad is a douche, quite honestly, I still grieved that. I grieved that tradition because I have so much nostalgia connected to it. Now I'm in year 6, so I've moved through all that, and I'm like, thank God I don't have to even be in snow anymore or cut down a tree, you know, or deal with the dead pine needles or any of that. But just know, I want you to be able to separate that. Am I having grief because they're not here physically, which is okay to have. It's okay to have that, but we are also looking to lean into their spirit presence, right? So to be able to shift and say, oh, but they are here and they can enjoy this so much more and all of the things. Or if you're having it for nostalgia, right? For how it was when they were little, or how it was if you used to go to big family things and you don't anymore, or just whatever. I know Omri's experienced that. Is our holidays look very, very different now that we're in Florida. I mean, obviously we're going to Thanksgiving dinner with Kate and her family. Last year we went to Village Inn, and she had to work and Tom had to work. So it was like we ran to Village Inn and ate cheap Thanksgiving meal, and then everybody dispersed. So it was really hard for her for the first few years to know, like, it's okay that we are doing our own thing now and doing our own traditions now, even if they look, maybe our tradition is that it looks different every single year. Maybe
Yeah.
that's our tradition, right? So just really get into the nuances. Don't way overthink it, but do sit in and be like, okay, am I having really deep grief, or am I grieving nostalgia? And if you're, I know that a lot of you are where you are going to experience grief, right? I know that you guys aren't where I'm at, and so it's perfectly normal. But I want you to get into the nuances of it and the cracks and crevices and see how much is attributed to the physical part and how much is attributed to Christmases of yore, right? And you might find it might surprise you when you're not just chalking it all up as, oh my God, I'm grieving because my kid is, you know, the ego's talking, my kid is dead. It might surprise you which pieces it actually is. I call that the grief stew. And this is where we get in, we start picking out pieces, and we actually are looking at them to see if they are what we thought they were. Okay. So yeah. All right. Who else? Go for it, Kim.
So I heard cranberry sauce for what he wanted, which definitely makes sense.
Okay.
But when I asked for if he wanted me to make him a plate, there was a pause before the no came in. So I'm not sure if that was him or if it was me.
Okay. So what I would suggest is when you have a moment, get still and re-ask. Okay. Just re-ask, because we want that real quick one. Real quick
Right.
one.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I hear him. I want to say that, is it for us to hear, anybody can hear, right? It's not just somebody that has abilities. Okay.
No.
Right.
absolutely not. And this is one of the misgivings of the spiritual communities. You're going to see people say, oh, I'm so gifted. You're going to see mediums say, I have the gift. This is, it's from bygone eras when spirituality, they thought that there were witches. They thought that they thought the Christian mystics that were removed from the Bible had special abilities. Here's the thing you have to remember, guys. Yes, Kim, we can all hear them in thought because we are all spirit housed in flesh. Okay. Now, what we can also hear is our damn egos, because that is part of what happens when we come into a body. We get this body, much like your car is equipped with reverse. This human flesh, this body is equipped with built-in ego, unless you're Jesus. Jesus was the incarnate of spirit in human flesh without an ego. That's why we aspire to be like Jesus, right? Is because he was the embodiment of spirit without an ego. I hope this doesn't run any of y'all off. Some of you already know this. I don't consider myself a Christian. I consider myself an omnius. Do I love Jesus? Yeah, I think he's a cool dude. Leaf has told me he's met him, says he's totally cool. I'm good with that. But that is what he was. He was the embodiment of spirit within the flesh. That's why he could walk on water. That's why he could do all the things that he could do. And that's why he didn't have judgment. He didn't have guilt. He didn't have any of this crap that our ego gives us. But because you're in a human body, Kim, it comes with, four-wheel drive and an ego. And sometimes an ego in four-wheel drive. So absolutely, you can do this because you are spirit housed in human flesh. The only key is to be able to do it. You have to raise your vibration. You have to open your awareness. You have to be very present, and you have to be able to consciously know when your ego is speaking, and you have to be able to quiet it, and you have to learn to discern between the two. Okay. It sounds like a lot of
I know.
to-dos. But it's possible. And you're in this group. There are a lot of women in here that have tamed their ego in this regard. And ego's tricky, guys. It's always going to be there, and it's a chameleon. So it's always going to sneak in other ways. There are women in this class that have been through reentry classes with me where they're learning to discern ego when you're out in the world, right? So you're out in the world, you're like, oh my God, the world is living hell. It sucks. Guess who's saying that? Your spirit is not saying that. Your ego is saying that. So it's going to be an ongoing tug of war with the ego.
Remember when I didn't connect with Patrick for 5 years? My sister used to come to me and say, Patrick is so frustrated. He doesn't know what else he has to do for you to, and I wasn't opening myself up.
Yeah.
I wasn't, so it took me a very, very long time, but thank God that's passed.
That's definitely good to hear, because in my head, it should have already happened. And I think I've done everything possible, and I know it's the journey, but of course you want it yesterday.
I would have to say,
Ego
I
says
think
now.
yeah, I would have to say, there's other divination tools. Like I use my necklace as a pendulum all the time. And just almost every day, I just ask Daniel to show me his I love you, and he shows it to me, and I feel so connected. And so it just doesn't have to be thoughts in your head if you feel like you're struggling with that, because I struggle with that too. So I've turned to other things, right? The pendulum, the cards, the numbers.
And we'll go over other divination tools as well. And those do help with discernment. Because we're not going full on into how to use every divination tool that we generally teach in a different class. That's why I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to pop in with the telepathy, because as you're going out shopping for Christmas and we want to bring them in, I mean, y'all can stand in the stores and use your pendulum if you want. Antoinette, they may haul you away, but if you want to, you can. So it's always good just to know like how the telepathy.
Yeah, that's okay. I talked to him already in the supermarket when we go shopping. I'm like, do you want me to get this? Like I talk out loud, so it's okay. They can put me away.
You're with me. Same here. I'm like, I don't care. Go for it. Like, whatever. There are people way crazier than me out there, whatever I seem to be crazy. Sharon, go ahead. Did you have something to share?
Yeah, Kim, I feel like I'm a lot like you too. The first thing I go to is that really me or did I make it up? And
Mhm.
and I'm in actually, well, year 6. So to me, that's year 7, because as soon as you hit the year, you're in the next year.
Right.
And I've done a ton of stuff and I still don't feel like I have the exact connection that I want.
Well, and here's the deal, guys. This is Kathy's favorite thing. Are you always going to be reaching for a signier sign or a bigger connection?
For sure.
So, and who does that come from?
Big ego.
There you go. So you can always, here's a very basic, your most basic, simple tool for telling if it's ego or if it's spirit, if it's you or if it's them, if it's your spirit or their spirit, whoever it is, spirit, right? Is, does it bring you peace or does it bring you pain?
Yeah.
So Kim, when you got cranberry sauce, no, I don't want you to plate me food. Did that bring you peace or did that bring you pain?
The cranberry sauce was good. That was fine. I was okay with that. And the no, I was surprised about. It just didn't sit right.
Okay, right there, emotional guidance system. It doesn't have to take you to your knees, ball and squalling emotional guidance system. It can be as much as that didn't feel, it feels a little gritchety. That's your emotional guidance system. That probably was indeed your ego. And you had already discerned that because there was a pause there. So for those of you that are still going back, and it's totally normal, like totally normal to go through this while you're taming ego, sit with it, Sharon, and say, okay, I got this immediately. It was from spirit. I feel peace. If when you say, was that me? If it makes you feel gritchety, that means it's your ego saying, was it me? Right? This is where becoming keenly aware of your energy and your emotions that come through when you're trying to discern ego versus anything else. Always go back to the emotional guidance system, because if it feels gritchety or off, or it brings you severe pain or anything that's lower vibration, guilt, shame, regret, any of that, that means that is a thought from ego. If it brings you even a little bit of peace, or even just to like, okay, like Kim said with the cranberry sauce, that is her guidance system letting her know that was indeed spirit. Okay. And with spirit communication, intention is everything. Kim can know it wasn't her inner spirit saying cranberry sauce because she asked him. That was the intention. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, good stuff.
When I
Go ahead, Sharon.
when I asked the question, I got roll, and then but the ego got in the way real quick, because then I thought, well, that's what I would have answered for her. But then I got snowflake roll. But then when you spoke, and then when Sarah spoke, you said fireball, and Sarah said that Snicker apple salad. And those are both things that I would associate with my daughter.
Okay.
So that felt like the signier sign was coming from you two.
Right. And so that's how they can piggyback off each other, right? And you'll see this a lot in medium readings, and I'm getting spirit chills. So you'll see this a lot in medium readings where they'll piggyback, where if mom is struggling with believing it, they'll piggyback with somebody else sometimes, and they'll throw out more stuff like mom, you remember this? Mom. That's what they're doing. Mom. I'm right here. I said it. Just believe it. Just believe it. Just believe it. Right?
That's funny that you're doing that right now, because Daniel always did. Ma.
Yeah,
Always.
Leaf still does it. Leaf
Always.
literally,
Ma,
if
ma.
I'm doing something and he wants my attention, like I channeled a big thing from him not too long ago, and I was literally watching TV, and I kept hearing him say, mom. And I said, dude, like, this is me time. Like, I'm just chilling here, doing some self-care, and he wouldn't stop. And finally I said, fine. And I picked up my phone and I typed as he brought it in. And then I was like, can I go back to watching my TV show now? So yeah, so that's a really, really good example, Sharon. And I'm going to let Kathy in a little bit talk about the signier sign, because here's the deal, guys. You guys can always want a signier sign, but here's the deal. At some point, you have to surrender to the connection that you do have, and you have to practice living in it as it being enough. Because when you do that, what happens is you get to more intimately know them without the physical presence. And a lot of times the sign of your sign is simply your awareness to them. Okay. So like Kathy can get in her car, she can have full-on conversations with Sophie now that she has learned to discern that Sophie speaks in fits and bursts through what comes on in her car song-wise. I can do it. I'll be in the car. There'll be a plate here, a billboard here, one word in a song. I mean, so once you open to that, you no longer need a sign or sign, because the communication is wham, 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 because you're open to it at that point. So when you think you need a sign or sign, let me ask you this, Sharon, did you trust your daughter in body?
Yeah.
Do you trust your daughter now?
Yeah.
Trust your daughter.
Right. And there comes a point where you have to stop asking for that sign or sign, because you're basically putting a condition on the relationship. You're saying, you know what? You're connecting with me, but you're not connecting with me the way that I want. And to me, it got to the point where I realized that was as insulting as if Sophie had been right in front of me and I would have been like, I don't like the way you're talking to me, because it's basically the same thing. And, I mean, obviously there's the whole respect issue or whatever, but if your child is talking to you in the way that is best available to them right now, and you're always asking for that sign or sign, in essence, you're telling them that their communication is not good enough.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I asked for a sign or sign. I felt like it just happened.
Yeah. No, not this time, Sharon. Like
just in general.
Just in general.
In general. Yeah.
No,
the thing about it is, guys,
and see, the sign or signs, I am a firm believer, based on my own experience and the experiences of other warriors I've talked to. I'm a firm believer that once you truly surrender to the grateful feelings and you start expressing the gratitude for the little signs, the sign or signs come on their own. You end up getting the sign or signs, because it's like, oh, well, they got that little tiny sign. Let me send something bigger. And they start to kind of show off their powers a little bit. And then you get the sign or signs, and then you get the shit that you're totally blown away with. 2 weeks ago today, and I don't think I told this story
you haven't yet.
Okay. 2 weeks ago, I went 2 hours north of me to Columbus, Ohio, to hook up with another warrior mom, Krista Prince. And we went to a psychic show that was in Columbus. And we'd gone around and we looked at all these different tables, and we were going through our second time. And we stopped at this table that Krista had looked at while I had made a trip to the bathroom earlier. And this woman had all these discs, and I don't know if you can see that very well. This one is on a necklace, and it's this really cool disc. It's ringed in purple, ringed in copper. It's pink on one side and blue on the other side. And so she had all these different discs, all of them ringed in copper. And some of them were trivet size, and some of them were bigger, some were necklaces. And Krista and I were standing next to each other looking at the necklaces that were hanging on one of those little wire fake trees. We weren't talking to each other. We weren't talking about our kids. And I was looking at the necklaces to see if any of them had a tree of life on them, because some of the medallions had little gold designs in the middle. Krista picks up one of these necklaces, and it was pink because her daughter Carrington likes pink. And as we're standing there, the woman who owned the booth says to Krista, "Oh, that's the Sophia disc." And I just started laughing. So Sophie's full name is Sophia. And I just started to laugh. And the woman says, "Oh, is your name Sophia?" And I said, "No, Sophia's my daughter." And so we, went around the corner of the table. We're still looking, and I see a blue disc on the table. And I asked the woman, I say, "So this blue one here, is this also a Sophia disc?" And she says, "Oh, that's the double Sophia disc." She says, "It's blue on one side and pink on the other side." And Krista and I are just laughing. And I'm like, are you hearing this? Can you believe this? And these are Pleiadian healing discs that this woman was selling. And you look through the discs and you can, do different things with them. So she looks at me through this disc and she says, or before she looked at me through the disc, she says to me, have you had your heart broken recently? She said, I sense that you have a lot of anger that you're just not willing to let go of. And I just laughed again. And I said, well, here's the thing. I said, Sophia is my daughter, and she hopped the veil in 2017. And my husband just passed in September. So yeah, I have a fair bit of anger going on, just a little bit, and I'm laughing. And the lady, then she looks at me through the disc and she says, are you aware that you have a really big pair of wings? And I said, maybe. And she said, well, you do. She said, you have this really big pair of wings. And I can tell that you're not unfurling your wings yet. She said, but you're going to. And so at this point, I'm just laughing because Nikki's been dragging me kicking and screaming into this whole coaching thing. And, and the woman, so I bought one of the necklaces. She gave me a really great discount on the necklace and I bought one. And she says, that she wants me to keep in touch with her because she thinks that I'll have something really exciting to tell her soon. And it was really interesting the way the synchronicity happened because, what are the chances that you're looking at these things at this show and they're called Sophia discs and not just, it wasn't like it was something this woman made up for sales because they had all these printed materials saying the Sophia full spectrum healing disc. So she had all
And
these.
on top of that, Kathy, you've spent 5 years seeking, and I've never heard of these. Kathy's never heard of these, and we've plunged the depths, man. You know.
And so I ended up with this healing disc called a Sophia healing disc and it was just, it's the weirdest thing. And I'm like, how's that for a sign? And of course I had to call Nikki and say, okay, you can tell me that I told you so now. I told you so.
Which I promptly did.
Which she promptly did. So it's really, it's just weird the way the kids come in sometimes. And, you get these signs that literally knock your breath out of you. But then you also get signs that are really tiny, subtle whispers.
Yeah.
So the awareness is a big thing. And I truly believe that once you open your awareness and you start noticing and being grateful for all the tiny signs and the really subtle signs, that's when the floodgates literally open and you get all the signier signs that you could want.
And that's when that's when you stop and you realize, oh, I have a daily relationship now. And at some point, just so you guys know, at some point it can become enough. I remember thinking, this is never going to be enough. This is never going to be enough for me because I can't touch him. I can't hear him audibly. I can't, all the things. But somewhere along the lines of surrender, it did indeed become enough because now I know Leaf, Kathy knows Sophie, Bernie knows Patrick, Angie knows Turk. We know them more intimately. Lee knows Skylar. We know them more intimately than what we would have ever known them with the condition of a body. Okay. Skylar didn't she didn't confide everything to Lee when she was in body. Leaf damn sure wasn't hanging out with his mom 24/7 when he was in body. I can tell you that right now. Now these kids are available to you literally at your beck and call, like everything you wish that they would have been in body. Like if you text them and they immediately text you back, you can have that now, right? So at some point that surrender does come in. It takes a while though, guys. Sharon, it's going to take a while. Everybody's different, right? I was kind of fast tracked, and I know I was fast tracked now because I was put into a position to be doing this. That's why I was fast tracked, right? Some of you, it may take longer. It happens in divine timing and unfolding. So those times when you're like, oh my God, I'm working so hard on this, and it's because it's exhausting, absolutely exhausting to be aware of your egoic thoughts at all times. I mean, it's so flippin' crazy making. Sometimes it feels like you're gaslighting your damn self, you know? So those are the times that I would tell Leaf, I would be like, you know what, buddy, I got to shut this brain down for a little bit. I'm going to be unavailable for the next 2 days. I'm not going to try to seek you out. I'm not going to try to intentionally connect. I'm not going to study spiritually. And I would literally veg out on the TV and on Netflix. And the funny thing is, it actually helped open my awareness even more, because then he would start sending signs through the TV, and it was practicing me being able to notice his communications when I wasn't actively seeking them. Okay. And I don't actively seek them now. You'll see a lot of mediums that will say, you don't have to actively seek, you don't have to intentionally connect. No, you don't have to. But practicing that for me came in handy, because when I did do re-entry, I could then go out into the world and have open awareness and not have to seek him out. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Good. And when Kathy says signs, what Kathy's talking about, guys, we get lost in the saying. Kathy says it because that's just her catch word for it, because it's all encompassing. But one of the things we like to do is remind you guys that signs, those are direct communications from your kid, because the grief community sometimes gets complacent because we hear the word sign so much, like, oh yeah, I did get a sign. That is direct communication from your child in spirit. So when you tell yourself, oh, I got a sign, or thank you for the sign, lean into, like Kathy said, the gratitude of that, because you're literally directly communicating with your kid who you thought you could no longer ever communicate with. You have to lean into the surrealness and the profoundness of that. Otherwise, in your human body, it's going to be like, oh, well, yeah, I got a sign, but I need a sign of your sign. So
Right. And you have
lean
to interpret to move forward. I believe to move forward in your healing and to continue leveling up in your connection with your child, you have to get into interpretation of those signs. You can't just you can't just always fall back on the, oh yeah, I got a butterfly today. Oh yeah, I got a heart today. You have to look at the bigger picture around the heart that you got. What were you doing? Where were you? You know, and just, it's like stringing all those pieces together and making a puzzle sometimes for me. And, you know, it's, I don't know if any of you guys remember, there used to be this old show that came on TV called Concentration, where they would have like the letters and a little picture to make the next part of the word and a picture to make the third part of the word. And you had to extrapolate what all those pictures and letters are together to get the whole phrase. And that's sometimes what the communication is with our kids. I think you have to string the signs together sometime to get the bigger picture until you develop that telepathy, and you're comfortable hearing. Because now I see signs and I don't worry so much about stringing them together, because I know if it's something really important, she's going to put it right in my brain.
And sometimes it is simply, especially for Kathy and I now, sometimes it's simply, hey mom, I'm right here, just popped in to say hi, just like if they picked up the phone and called you, or ran into the room and be like, mom, and then they ran back out. There's not always a huge deeper meaning, but sometimes there are. So it's, and where Kathy and I are at now, a lot of times it's not a huge deeper meaning. Obviously the Sophie disc was, right? And she's like, oh, I'm gonna have to get real up in this business with Kathy right now. You know, instead of giving her a bunch of little tidbits, she was like, God, my mom just needs it right in her face at this point. But also, when you lean into the profoundness of it and the gratitude of it, that is raising your vibration. And when you raise your vibration, you're more open to spirit. Having said that, Guys, you cannot, those of you that are still in grief, you cannot bypass the grief. Like Bernie knows, I don't know if Bernie's still in or not. Where is Bernie? Oh, there she is. Bernie knows that the tears that came actually released that physical purge that she needed, which immediately raises the vibration. Okay. Why you still got it? Use that as your tool, you guys. Why you can still cry and kick and scream and all the things, use it as your tool. Because now I get frustrated about real life stuff when my ego's acting up, and a lot of times I can't cry. And it's like, damn, I never thought I would wish for a freaking grief wave, but it's such a huge cathartic purge. So you look at those as a tool, that when they come, it's a tool because you're clearing that energy up out of your system so that your vibration can be raised and you can move into connection more readily. You're leveling up. Okay. Who else got their answers? Rhonda and Debbie, I think you guys hopped on late. So what we're doing is we asked the kids, we're practicing telepathy. Debbie, I know you've got it with Isaac, but so this will be easy for you. Rhonda, what we're doing is we're practicing telepathy. So it's the first thought that comes in. I want you guys asking your kids what they want for Thanksgiving dinner. First thought that comes in, write it down. Ask them if they want you to plate food. First thought before your ego gets in there. It's the one that hits you, bam, right there, and you write it down as soon as you think it. Okay. This is how we discern what's them and what's us. So we're sharing what we got when we did that activity. We did it a little bit ago. So who else got it?
I'll
Who else
go.
got their answers? Go for it, Inch.
Of course, Turk said pie, which makes complete sense because pumpkin pie was his favorite. I asked
Still
him
is,
if he
still
about,
is apparently.
huh?
Still is apparently.
Yeah, I was
Knowing
hoping
Turk,
that,
he probably wants cinnamon whiskey pumpkin pie with leaf.
yeah. When I asked him, I was kind of hoping that he would say no, because I'm going to the in-laws, and of course he said yes. So now that means I have to go get the stuff. You know, still costing me money.
Oh,
Still,
God, any money. Yeah. As above, so below. Some things never change.
still like the cat. I mean, still costing money.
Yep. Yeah. It's, and this is what we wanted. We wanted this to become a normal relationship. Guess what, Angie? It's become the normal daily relationship now.
Yep.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Who else?
I'll go.
Haley, have a good day. We'll see you soon. Go for it, Becky.
All right. So as soon as you started to say that we were going to ask them a question, I heard no, like no, right away in his funny little voice. So I don't know if that was necessarily about asking the question or if that no, he does not want a plate, which is more so what I was going with because he was never a Thanksgiving kid. He was very picky about what he ate. He did not like the Thanksgiving food.
Okay. I want to jump in real quick because I keep hearing you guys. He was. Let's talk present tense. He is a picky kid. He does not like Thanksgiving. Okay.
Yes.
That's one of your shifts, guys. It's one of your shifts because it's not all about when they were in body. They still have a lot of the same preferences, or they may have different preferences now. So go ahead, Becky. I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No,
it's just
I
something
appreciate
that I've
it.
heard throughout the conversation.
I appreciate the shift. So Parker is picky about food. He, I right away got no, like no. And then I heard chicken nuggets and pink steak, which are his favorites, as well as a blue soda, which is what he calls Pepsi. He always has nicknames for different things. So I'm taking it that no, I'm not making a plate, but that is what he will be enjoying.
And he is absolutely not celebrating Thanksgiving. He wants McDonald's.
Exactly. Actually, I think it's Purdue chicken nuggets and basically rare steak. So
there you go.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with
that
that.
works.
Good deal. Good deal. Who else?
When I asked, I guess I just asked, he just said, I don't need it. I don't need it. But I heard, if you will, it would be turkey. I could hear him going, turkey. I think for him, it's more of like, I always make sure that his picture is in the center of the table. So he's with us, and then a candle is with us, as well as my mom. So I don't know if I really get the sense that either one has to have a plate, but they're at the table with us with a light that signifies their light is still with us. So, and that brings me peace.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So.
And if you're in the place where neither of these things are important, that's perfectly okay too. You know, like I said, last year Leaf got Jack because I knew he was with us. I didn't even light his candle. I don't even know that I did the worldwide candle lighting last year. So, and Debbie's further out. So as you move, and
Yeah.
this is what we talked about, as you move out, what you need for the holidays to signify their presence is it will change. For some
It does.
people, maybe not, because they take comfort in the ritual, and that's okay too. But like you got, I mean, you guys have heard me say before, like Leaf at first had this huge space in my house, this huge shelf. Now his shelf is literally like 5 inches big. And that's what he gets in my house. And because he's also 23 now, and he damn sure ain't gonna have a huge space in my house at 23. You know, he better not have anyway. So he has about a 5-inch shelf in my house, and his 2 urns sit on it, and like 2 other things. And in fact, when we left for the hurricane evacuation, when we got back, I just threw his stuff back on the shelf, and it sat all discombobulated. So yesterday I said to him, I said, okay, I'll go straighten up your shelf real quick. And I went over and I straightened up his little shelf. So, but that's entirely different from what my house looked like in the first 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's okay to like get to where Debbie's at. Debbie doesn't need a huge ritual now, you know.
Yeah,
Her-
those first years I did though. Those first years
Yeah.
it was like he had to have a plate. He had to have it like exactly how he would have. I mean, I was very like hardcore, and everybody's gonna notice that plate. Damn it!
And that was
And then
really healing for you,
it
because
was.
it so predominantly brings in their physical, something that represents their physical,
Yeah.
that is super healing. But when
Yeah.
you do the work that Debbie's done, and she's done a ton of work, ladies, like 2 years ago, this is not the woman you saw before you.
No.
She came on, and there was not a class that she didn't ball through. There was not a class that she didn't have a million questions. Thank God, you know,
Yeah.
thank God. There was not a class that she did not fully engage in, because that's what she needed for her healing. And now we're further out, and I mean, not a tear is being shed, you know.
Yeah.
So that's a testament to what healing can do if you work on it, for sure, you know, for sure.
Yeah. And that he lets me know, like, if he needs me like an attention, he'll let me know, like, do this, mama. But like you said, I don't seek it. I just know it, and I just ask and I listen. And if I don't know if I'm getting it right, I just ask again, and I try to say, stop thinking with my head, think with my heart what he's trying to tell me, and I usually can get that. But I
Let
do
me ask
sometimes.
you this.
Mhm.
Did you think in your first class that this is where you would get to be with
Oh,
him,
hell
where you're
no.
like,
Oh,
well, I don't seek him out anymore?
oh, hell no. No, no, no.
No.
Nope. I'm pretty good about, like, if I need him, I ask him. And
Good.
the biggest thing is I like answers like this, and I don't
Yeah.
always get that.
No, not always. Leaf's
So
the same. He'll just laugh at me usually.
yep, he always tells me, perfect time, mama. You'll get it in the perfect time.
Yep.
Da, da,
Exactly.
da. But yeah,
Right. Perfect divine time, not your
I,
perfect time.
that's exactly what he tells me all the time. Not your time, mama. The perfect
Yep.
time, the divine time. So, but yeah, I always make sure that no matter what the holiday is, no matter what the birthday is, his picture, his light, he's always there. He's part of it.
And that's something I posted about today, guys. There are a multitude of ways that you can bring in their physical presence, you know, to signify their physical presence. A lot of times, some of the things that I did is my first Thanksgiving, which was September, 2 months after Leaf left body. I'm not kidding you when I say that I split his ashes into like several different urns, and we had tons of family coming in for Thanksgiving because that was our traditional Thanksgiving. And I, it didn't even occur to me that I was literally setting my dead son's cremains on the tables. They were enclosed. They were in enclosed things, but I made every urn that he had into centerpieces for every table. So every single person in that house was literally eating with my son's ashes right in front of them. And I did a 4-candle lighting, and I did the traditional 4-candle lighting, which is way painful words. And I sat his urn on the table in his spot. I signed his name with angel wings to the family embroidered Thanksgiving tablecloth. I plated him food. I mean, if there was a way to bring him in, I wore his clothes. I was head to toe in Leaf's clothes. If there was a way to bring the kid in, I did it that first year. Like, again, over the top, but it brought me so much peace, right? It brought so much peace. Just know that it's okay to go over the top. And I did that not giving a flaming shit who thought what about it. And we probably had 60 people there. And when I went to do that candle lighting and I spoke out and everybody's in a circle holding hands, I didn't care if it made them uncomfortable, because at that point it was about me bringing me peace so that I could make it through the day. Okay. So, and on that note too, if you're going to big family things, do not expect your family, if they're not, if they don't know where you're at in your healing journey and you're not open in your new beliefs with them, don't expect them to bring up their names. It's going to be up to you, and it's okay to bring up their names. Okay. That's okay. Who else asked their questions to their kiddos?
So Rodney wants beer. No surprise there. I went down the list. And he stopped me at beer, and then I threw in beer, and he was like, yeah, my husband has some Stella. He likes Stella. And then I was like, well, you can have some food too, but I'm going out. And then he like reminded me that my friend is going to smoke a turkey for us. So he said, I'll take some smoked turkey. And I said, well, do you want a plate? And he said, no, I want a bowl. And he showed me like this big bowl of full of turkey, like a big bowl, because he's trying to be funny, a funny guy. And you know, Rodney and I, he was 41 years old, you know, he had 3 kids. He was married for 22 years. He was in the Marines. So I don't really even have like, I mean, I think about him every day, and I think we do have like a daily relationship, but a lot of times
you do.
It's like so natural. You know what I mean? Like I'll see a Marine Corps license plate, you know, just, and I don't usually watch license plates. So I know when it's him. And like yesterday, I was just laying here and he came and started hitting me on the foot. And I was like, oh, hi, you know, it's just nice. Now he'll just like kind of pop in and make his presence known. And so yeah, but for me, like I remember when I first started hearing him, and I worked hard on it too. And when I think journaling really helped me because I'm a writer. So journaling kind of got me out of my head. And then I'll never forget, I was like, Rodney's daddy killed himself. Every day that would be my first thoughts, you know. And then one day he was like, I'm not dead. And I was like, oh, that wasn't me. And then I was like, well, if that's you, you better call me mom, because I'm going to go crazy with this shit. You know what I mean? And so then he started doing that. But then I started taking like one of your classes and with Christine. And then I'll never forget this time either, because then I was like, okay, now I want to feel you. I got like greedy, you know what I mean? So I'll never forget, we were at this hotel and my husband was sound asleep, and I was laying there and he was touching me and he was flashing the smoke detector in the hotel room. This blue light kept strobing this little, it was a tiny little light, but he made it really big and he was strobing it and touching me. So, but I like the touching part, because then my head, you know, because I'm like practicing to be a medium, and it's easy to get in your head when you don't have somebody sitting in front of you saying, yeah, I can take cancer, drug addiction, or this or that, and you just randomly know it, and it, you know, it's good. So, you know, sometimes I get in my head, and so, but if I feel him, then I know his energy, and I'm like, oh, hey. So that's a good thing. But then I started like, oh, it'd be nice to see you. You know what I mean? So, and
Maybe that's the signier sign thing we're talking about.
well, I did actually see him one night. He and a medium had told me this was going to happen years ago. And I did he transfigured the side of his face over my grandson, his son's face.
They can do that.
It was in the dark, you know, but I knew it was him. He had a bigger nose. I mean, he looked totally different from him. And I was like, oh my God, you look just like your dad. And I was like freaking out about it. But so yeah, he's really good. But I think a lot of it is, you know, and two, when Rodney first started talking to me, he was like so happy. He was present all the freaking time. He was like the peanut gallery making jokes. He was just so happy he finally got through. But it's really totally evolved now. It's like, you know, it'll be like, I'll say, I wonder if, you know, something or another, and then it'll happen. You know what I mean? I won't even be aware that he's like talking to me. He'll just kind of impress the thoughts upon me. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's the evolution of the daily relationship, because you're not seeking him out anymore. And Debbie provides a good point. Like, for those of us that have the daily relationship, it's very much a normal relationship. So Leaf is no longer a lot of you have heard me say this. So like, consider this your child, and they can have this energy on you, this, all of this energy on you. And that's when it's like whoosh, right? And they do that a lot when we're down in deep grief. Okay. And they do it a lot, just like when Sophie did this with Kathy a few weeks ago, all 5 fingers of energy were pinpointed directly at Kathy. But on the daily, those kids have a pinky of their energy on us, available to us, while they're also maybe Leaf's hanging out with Kathy, because Leaf does that a lot, or Kate, or Bernie. Maybe Leaf's in a different dimension, or a forward timeline, or a past timeline. Doesn't matter what's going on with the rest of their energy, where they're at, what they're doing. You've always got this. They've always got this one on you, right? But sometimes they're going to have this on you. But sometimes they're going to have this on you. And you can call in and say, I need more of you today. Like, for those of you that have taken the divination tool class, you've seen this happen when I'm teaching pendulum, and Leaf's given me this much energy to teach pendulum to you guys. And I'm like, dude, can you like give me a little bit more, swing that thing bigger? And he generally does, and he'll swing it. Or Becky will ask him the question with the pendulum, and he'll just swing it huge, where with me he was going That's because for Becky, as a beginner, he's lending her more of her energy, more of his energy to communicate with her at that point than he is with me, because he's like, yeah, my mom doesn't need it that much. Becky needs it more, right? So and when you get further out, like with Kathy and with Debbie, you know, I know, and with Lee, I know with Lee a lot of times, like, it doesn't occur to me that Leaf is dead. Like, Kathy, does it occur to you that Sophie's dead? I mean,
No, it really, it doesn't, because I have this really strong, really active relationship with her. And most of the time I fail to even think about that she's not here physically, because I'm communicating with her, and the physical has kind of gone by the wayside for me. And I was one of those people who really, I was like, yeah, I'm always gonna miss her. I'm connected, but I'm always gonna miss her. I'm never gonna be okay with her not being here physically. And now I really am. Would I prefer to hug her? Hell yeah. Who wouldn't? But I don't long for it. It doesn't make me sad to think about that anymore, because I have this really great relationship with her. And I know I posted about this the other day. It didn't really start happening for me until I elevated the relationship that I have with her now. I had to get really grateful for what I do have and stop wasting energy on what I can't have.
Stop wishing it was different. Stop
Yeah.
wishing for more. It allow it to be what it is, and it accelerates, and it gets exalted, and it becomes bigger, and it grows more intimately. And I know that sounds like a bunch of poppycock for those of you that are in your longing right now. I know it does. I know it does. I remember, like I said, saying this is never going to be enough. It's never going to be enough. It has become enough, and then some days. And what Debbie's talking about, being able to feel them, you guys can also learn to feel into their energy. I have felt a Leaf hug, and that kid hugs strong, man. And I'm not a hugger. So he is our hugger. Omri and I are more standoffish in that department. That was a nice way to put it, standoffish. But I have felt Leaf hug me. If you guys are experiencing, and ask them to start touching you, tell them you want to start learning their energy physically. Ask them to start touching you. If you start feeling like, usually seems to be the go-to at first is going to be feeling like you have bugs in your hair. You will actually stop and think, oh my God, is there a flea in my hair? Dude, did my other kids bring home head lice? Like, what is going on? Itch, 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 itch. A lot of times that's how they'll initially start. Not every time, but that seems to be a spirit-wide tell. So, and then you can ask them, get really still, breathe, be still, lay your palms out, ask them to trace their finger along the palm of your hand. And then you fill into that area. Ask them to kiss you on your cheek. And I will post this as an assignment so you guys can go back to it and know what to do to practice it. But that will also let you know that the physical body is not the end all be all. It's actually a really, really insignificant part, quite honestly. It's like a Halloween costume. We put it on for a little bit and then we take it off. Then we put on another one, then we take it off. Then we put on another one, then we take it off. So once you start shifting into the idea that our body is not who we are, you can then come to know your child more intimately, and you can get to where Kathy and Debbie and I are at, that it doesn't occur to us that these people are what the world thinks is dead. And on top of that, you will actually go into further where you don't care if the rest of the world thinks they're dead, because you know they're not. I remember needing very strongly for the rest of the world to understand that Leaf was not dead, damn it. He was different, but he wasn't dead. And because I felt like I needed that validated for my own belief system, it was very important for me for a long time. That is no longer important to me. In fact, I rarely share his communications now, you know, and I mean, even in the big group, I rarely share a lot of stuff I get from Leaf, just because if he was in body, am I going to be up on a group going, oh my God, Leaf and I have this conversation today, blah, blah, blah. No, that would take my whole life. I don't do it with my daughter. I'm not doing it with Leaf, because he's not dead. Our relationship is what it is now. And it is enough. And so just be open to the fact that maybe this can be eventually, and know that you're doing the work now for it to eventually become that. Okay. Who else? I think Antoinetta and Christy and Rhonda. Did you guys get something when you asked? What's Massimo want? I know you're in Canada and your Thanksgiving's done already, but I'm sure he's jumping in on the bandwagon and wants something.
He's thinking about Christmas when I
He's
asked.
He's like, I'm ready for Christmas.
Oh, Massimo was always ready for Christmas when you went in body, but when he was in body, he asked me from the hospital because he missed his brother's birthday. That was the time he was having surgery. He's seen his brother's cake on my telephone screen, because I had a picture of the cake, and he said, Mommy, for Christmas, I want this cake, because he wasn't able to be at the party. and it was a swimming pool cake, and he was so excited. He wanted that cake. So when he left body, every year I try to, it's been almost going to 4 years next year, but I try to keep the tradition of the cake, to get a cake from Massimo for Christmas to everyone. And last year I got a cake, but because it was COVID and we weren't able to get together, I bought this big cake and nobody ate the cake. So Massimo was saying, kind of like, "Mommy, you need to forget about this cake."
So he's
I
relinquishing the
was
tradition.
I was now asking him, and thinking it was going to be cake, but he said he just wants nonna's sugar zeppolis, which are traditional Italian donuts that my mom makes. He says that's all he wants. He wants
Awesome.
us to bake together and be in that tradition. He just wants us to be doing the donuts together. That'll make him happy.
Very nice. Very nice. This shows a big thing, guys. So Antoinetta didn't just get an answer. She got step-by-step directions. He wants the donuts. He wants her baking the donuts with grandma. This is what he wants. So once you open yourself to that initial thing, be open to the rest coming in, because they may have more to tell you, and just go with it. Don't even give your ego time to get in and say, oh, and a great tell is going to be if it's totally unexpected. And Antoinetta, he threw her for a loop. She doesn't have to jack with the cake anymore. Is that a little bit of a relief that you're like, oh, I don't have to deal with the cake anymore?
Yes, like I know he's probably he said about the donuts, and then my head went to, why does he want the donuts? Not saying the cake. And then it came in my head also, it's because I want you to be baking with Nonna, because that's what I enjoyed doing when I was in person. In body, he liked baking with my mother, making things with my mom. So he wants us to do that together, just to keep that tradition going.
Yeah. So something to practice, Antoinetta, when you're having these conversations with him, instead of your brain thinking to yourself, well, why doesn't he want the cake? Ask him, okay, dude, why don't you want the cake? Right? So you can shift it from feeling like you're talking to yourself in that small moment of, well, why doesn't he want the cake? To which obviously he read that, he saw that in your thoughts, right? And he was like, well, this is why. But you guys can then say, it can be back and forth reciprocal conversation. Why don't you want the cake? Because I want you to bake with Nonna. So then you're having full on conversations, just like you and I are doing right now, right? So it's really cool when this starts to progress into that. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's awesome. All right. Who else?
I can go.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm sorry that I came on so late, but I did
It's
just
okay.
ask her quickly in my head what she wanted, and immediately it was cranberry sauce. The gross kind from the can that you
He
just
wants the
like slice
jiggly
up,
can
and it looks like the inside of the can.
I wish Leaf would have said that instead of a $22 pie that I now have to go find and buy.
And I'm not surprised, because it was her favorite thing. I would have to buy like a can just for her.
Really?
Yeah. And then right after that, I heard pudding pie, which is, she would always make like she was very simple, like the chocolate pudding, and just like put it in a pie with, and I would make fresh whipped cream.
Okay.
So
does she want you to plate it for her?
I didn't ask that. I
Okay,
don't know.
So you can ask that. That's an added one. If you don't want to ask it because you don't want to do it, you don't have to either.
I know. I was thinking, I was just listening to you talk about the place setting. We did that the first year, and it was, I think, I don't know, not that long after she crossed. And I didn't like it. I had a hard time with it. So she's only 2 years in spirit now. This is our third Thanksgiving without her in physical. So I didn't like, so we didn't do it last year, and it was much better. Actually, we didn't even eat at the table. We just kind of brought up our like trays and sat and watched. We watched like a Christmas Story, and
And that's okay.
that's what
I
we
love
did.
that movie. And that's okay too. And that's the thing, guys. You guys get to decide what this holiday looks like. So if you don't feel like celebrating it at all, don't. Don't feel obligated to go anywhere. Don't feel obligated to host. Saying no is okay. All right. I know that we've been trained that saying no is selfish. It's not selfish. If that's where you're at and you want to eat TV on TV trays and you want to have takeout and you want to watch movies, that's okay too. All right. All of it is okay. There's always going to be, guess what? This is not your only life together. You're going to have infinite Thanksgivings together, truly, right? So, yeah, that's good, Rhonda. It cracks me up that she loves the canned cranberry sauce. My mother would love to have her at the Thanksgiving dinner because nobody eats it except for my mother. All right. Who else? Christy, do you want to share or no? I'm not going to force you to share.
Sure, I can share.
Okay.
When I,
No, my dogs are barking. I'm sorry.
when I asked Braylee what she wanted for Thanksgiving, the first thing that came to my mind was, like, Mom, I don't like Thanksgiving food. I want mac and cheese, which is totally typical. So, it's something I would expect her to say. And then I actually thought of this earlier in the week, if I was going to be doing anything at Thanksgiving, like setting a plate or like putting up a table or something, and to remember her by or for her to be by. And just so that asking her to set a plate, she did immediately. The thought was yes, 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 yes.
Yes, yes. Okay, awesome. Good deal. So some other things that you guys can do too, if you are going to places with family, part of the thing that we do is we like to plant the seeds, right? That our kids planted with us. So actually, was it Stacy? Somebody came up with one of the things that they do at their family now, so they didn't feel so out of place, is they ask the whole family, if you're having big family things, for everybody to bring a picture of their past loved ones, and then they set up a table for the physical presence of all of their past loved ones. So it's like huge family gathering, right? So that's something you can do. I did post the 4 candles lighting that I wrote that allows me to stand more in my truth. I won't do it this year. I probably won't ever do it again, quite honestly, because I'm kind of past that. But for those of you that aren't, if you want to do something and it's a healing ritual for you, and that feels good to you, do it. Literally do whatever is going to bring you peace. If that means wearing some of your kids' clothes or their jewelry or taking along a stuffed animal that was close to them, do it. Okay. Whatever is going to bring you the most peace is what is important. I want a show of hands, physical hands, if you're dreading Thanksgiving. Rita and Christine. Okay. So I'm going to make a post in the next few days about, are you dreading Thanksgiving or are you looking forward to it? Are you somewhere in the middle? I want you guys engaging in that so that we can get into what pieces are you dreading. And so we can look at shifts for that, guys. Okay. So we can look at specific shifts for each of you that are having little nuanced things that you dread. And we can look at different perspective shifts for you to put into play, because that's part of what the holiday program is about. I know we talk about a lot of generalized information, but within the thread, that's where we can get into the nuanced nitty gritties of where each of you are at. Okay. So Rita and Christina, especially, Kim, I see you nodding a lot. So if you're having a little bit of dread, I want you guys voicing that within the thread so that Kathy and I know where we need to come in and help with shifts. Okay. And then of course it's up to you if you use the shifts or if sometimes I make people mad with shifts. It's just kind of part of the job, I guess, but at least then you have a perspective shift from a broader perspective instead of your earth perspective. Okay.
Can I add to that
Yeah.
a little bit.
Go ahead, Rita.
Thanksgiving, well, of course, the date's not always the same, but Patrick's cancer was found on an MRI the day after Thanksgiving, the Friday morning. And he was actually told of his cancer the following Sunday, which was his birthday also. So Thanksgiving is just, everything about it is.
You're having a lot of are you having a lot of cellular memory come back, trauma in the body? Your body's bracing for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Well, I didn't realize it, but I've been doing this.
You're
I'll
like
catch
this.
myself and I'm like, well, why are my shoulders so tight?
That's why, because your body is bracing from the trauma. Your body has memory. Your cells have memory. It knows when you went through traumatic experience. So even if you're like right in your head, right? If you're in a good place, you're connecting all of these things, your body has memory. So when I make this post, Rita, I want you to go in and explain and say that, because I want to be able to remember to post for you some somatic things that you can do to work on cellular memory. I'll write that down.
Okay.
For some cellular memory posts. Because that's part of what's happening. Your body's bracing for the shoe to drop. Okay.
That makes sense.
When you work through and you're able to release some of that trauma out of your body, what you're going to find is you can breathe better. You're going to feel lighter. And then as you move throughout years, your body will release that memory. And so you won't always, if you stand in shifting it with your brain, with your mind, then your body won't always remember. Like a lot of you have probably noticed when your kids' angel days are coming up, your body, the days leading up to it are like, your body's going, right? And your anxiety is heightened. That's because your body remembers the trauma. It remembers the influx of cortisol. It remembers getting kicked into fight or flight. It remembers all that, and it wants to do it again because that linear date is coming. There are things that we can do to work with that, okay? Like year 1 and 2, my cellular memory was off the charts. Now I don't have it at all, okay? Those dates, they're just dates, okay? So I want to be able to work, but that is what's going on, okay? That's partially what's going on, and that's hard to fight. Know that.
It's good to know, because I really didn't understand what in the world. I was just like, the past 3 or 4 days, I keep catching myself just being like all tense, and I'm like, why am I constantly doing this? Relax and chill, know.
So we want to be looking at some somatic stuff to work with your body. Some tapping, tapping for grief, tapping for trauma, breath work, Epsom salt soaks, stretching, all things to get your body out of that trauma loop that it's trying to kick into, and get it out, and we're rewiring the memory. Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of crazy making when you don't know what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It really is.
I remember thinking, oh my God, am I having a heart attack? Like, what the hell is happening in my body? I felt like my shoulders were pinned up here. My breathing was erratic. So it's cellular memory. Cellular memory. It's a big thing. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So don't be scared, guys. I know we're focusing on the positive, we're focusing on the shifts, but you don't always have to wait for me to make a post. If you're having something you're struggling with, post into the holiday program, say, hey guys, I'm struggling with this. Can we deconstruct it? Can we unpack it? Because I don't want to just ignore those of you that are dealing with grief. I don't want you to feel like because we're a positive spirit-based group that we're going to ignore that part. We're not going to bypass those pieces. We want to unpack those pieces, okay? Because if we don't unpack them, you don't know how to repack them with a shift, all right? And just like if Rita hadn't brought it up, she wouldn't have known that it's totally normal what her body's experiencing. There's an actual name for it, and there's tools that we can use for it. Had you not shared that, because I'm 6 years out, it maybe wouldn't have occurred to me to share about cellular memory. It should, because that's something that I should be sharing every single class, but it may not have. So it's so important that we share these cracks and crevices, even if we're telling yourself, oh, it's not that big of a deal, it's just grief. Don't just chalk it up to grief. Let's figure out what's in the grief stew so that we can deal with each ingredient. That's where true healing comes in. When you deal with the grief stew and you just, I got to chalk that up to grief, you can't get deep healing because it's so nuanced. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Does
And I
anybody-
know we've had it mentioned in the big group, and even Nikki made a post about it. You know, while we say that it's okay to not be okay, and it is okay to not be okay, it's also okay to not be okay with not being okay, if that makes any sense. If you don't want to not be okay, it's okay to want to feel better. It's okay to give yourself permission to let that shit go.
Mm-hmm. It is. It absolutely is. And we don't get told that a lot. We get told quite the opposite. So speak it out loud. I give myself permission to feel at peace this holiday. Okay. That doesn't mean you love your child any less. That doesn't mean you love your people any less. Okay. Grief does not equal love. Healing does, though. Because the more you heal, the more expansive that love becomes and the more palpable it becomes, unbelievably enough. Okay. All right. Does anybody have anything else before Kathy draws cards? All right. Take it away, Kathy.
Okay, tonight we are going to draw from the Rainbow Warrior Activation deck, which is a new deck I bought not too long ago. And I really, again, was attracted to the artwork because that's what draws me in first. And then obviously the name of this one for Rainbow Warrior. So, okay. This is card. Let me turn my phone up the other way. Oh, did I put myself upside down? I did. Crap. Ugh, I hate hitting the buttons on. I hit the buttons on the side of the phone and turned my phone off. Okay. So there's the card, number 36, and I'll post the picture in the group and we'll see what that is. Okay. Number 36 is it's plant medicine is the card. And the keywords are origins, medicine, structure, redefine, messages, adapt, and interconnectedness. The spirit of our world's history is encapsulated in every seed, stem, and leaf growing on Mother Earth. They are the silent witnesses to the evolution and the growth of everything on the planet. From drought and famine to abundance and overgrowth, plant medicine holds the secrets to balancing the mind, body, and spirit, healing all life. When you are feeling disconnected, call on nature's divas and elementals. No beings know more about the importance of honoring the interconnectedness of all things than the trees, the plants, and their guardians. A deep understanding of forest root systems teach us how family roots keep us safe in times of imbalance. The ability to survive and adapt is also a part of plant medicine. Receiving this message in your cards today lets you know you are a valuable root in the forest. You provide oxygen to your community, and what you receive is just as significant as what you give.
I'd say that tracks. As always, Kathy will post it and you guys can ponder it and see how it fits. Oh, that's cool. Sharon says that deck is directly related to the painting practice that she described. Synchronicity, ladies, synchronicity is the name of the game. There are no coincidences ever. That is a man-made word. It is actually how spirit works. So that's awesome. All right. Let's get ready to close. Everybody take a nice big deep breath. Stretch it out a little bit. Rita, stretch that Stretch those shoulders out, drop them down. Close your eyes and repeat after me. Archangel Michael,
Archangel Michael,
Archangel Azrael,
Archangel Azrael,
please come down.
please come down.
Cut all energetic cords
Cut all energetic cords
that drain me,
that drain me,
that feed my negativity,
that feed my negativity,
that feed my ego,
that feed my ego,
and are not for my highest good.
and are not for my highest good.
Please surround and protect me
Please surround and protect me
in divine white light and open my awareness.
in divine white light and open my awareness.
Thank you, and so it is.
Thank you, and so it is.
All right, spirit hands, get that energy moving through them. Move it, move it, move it. Guys, also calling your power back if like you're going to huge family things and there are people in the family that drive you crazy, run off to the bathroom and call your power back and surround and protect and cut cords real quick. For real, it works. Okay. Palms up. Eyes closed. Deep breath in and exhale. Repeat after me and visualize. I call all of my power back to me now. I want you to see rays of light coming in from each other, beams of light coming in from all over the globe if you've been online, from the people at the grocery store if you've been there, work, family, whoever you've come into contact with today. There are beams of light flowing from them to you to the palms of your hands. As those beams settle in the palms of your hands, they turn to liquid light. Take note of the color as it turns to liquid and flows down into your body cavity, into your forearms, down to the elbows, up through the upper arms, into the shoulders as it spreads through the chest area. It flows up through the neck and into your head space, opens the third eye. It may lighten and balance the chakras as it flows through your body, down back into your chest space, heart open and glowing as it moves down through your rib area, into the abdomen, down through the torso, to the hips, filling the buttocks. It moves down through the upper legs. You may start to feel tingly, hot, as it flows down through the knees, curing any dis-ease, any inflammation, as it rolls down through the calves, filling up the leg cavity as it moves into the ankles and the heels. It flows through the feet into each and every tip of all 5 toes. I want you to sit with your power, step out of your body and get a good, strong visual of what your body looks like growing with your power, glowing with your power. Take note of the color. Feel back into your body to see if you feel flushed. Nice deep breath in. Exhale and say thank you, and so it is. Okay. I'm also going to do a post about how this feels when we do this, what you see, what you feel, because we have to consciously speak it and bring it into our awareness so that the intention and momentum of this can also grow. Okay? All right, ladies, I will see you Tuesday night. I am so glad you're joining us, and we'll speak soon. Don't forget your Zoom takeaways tonight. All right. Sleep with
night.
angels. Good night.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.